As you know, I'm Quentin the Genius, and this will be day 2 of our Python in 10 days. So what are we going to be doing today? We are going to be writing a Python program. This is not a hello world program, it's a full-fledged Python program that makes some sense. We are going to be looking at basic Python syntax, the structure of a Python program, and then we are going to be also looking at the data types in Python. If you are just joining for the first time, smack that subscribe button below, subscribe so that you don't miss any update from Quentin the Genius. And also there's a notification button below, so activate notifications so that when a new lesson comes, you don't want to miss a thing. So let's get into the classroom right now and let's start working. So this will be the second day of our Python in 10 days, and I want you to take a look at the course outline. And we are going to start to work with PyCharm and Jupyter Notebook. Now I've opened PyCharm. I've also opened Jupyter Notebook side by side. There's a piece of code I have in my clipboard, this piece of code. Now this piece of code is coming from day 3, so don't worry about it. If it's complicated, don't worry about it. We are going to be talking about this in day 3. I'm going to paste this piece of code in Jupyter Notebook, and I'm going to run it. And I'm also going to paste this piece of code in PyCharm and run it, and let's see what outcome we have. Now don't worry yourself, when I'm going to tell you to start following, I'm going to let you know. Just watch as you see the difference between Jupyter Notebook and PyCharm. So I'm going to go to Jupyter Notebook and just say new Python 3. Don't do this, I'm going to tell you when to start following me. So for now, I just want to tell you the difference between Jupyter Notebook and PyCharm. So if I run it, if I paste it at this point, paste it, and I'm going to just wait for a couple of seconds, because if you look at this place, it says kernel busy. So once you see this filled up or dark is filled up, then kernel is busy. But at this time, it's okay. So you can see there are colors there: green, red, black, and maybe purple. This is called syntax coloration. Okay. So when you are using a compiler to write your program, or some editor to write your program, it gives you syntax coloration, meaning that it understands that this is a correct program. Now I'm going to just click on run, and let's see what we have as the output. So I'm going to just click on run. So this is what we have as the output of this program. It's interesting, but I'm going to go to Jupyter Notebook or to PyCharm and do the same thing. So in PyCharm, I'm going to just right click and say new Python file, and I'm going to call it hearts, because that's what I just did. So new Python file. So if you create a new Python file, you can see it opens up. I'm going to just paste this code as well. You can see it also gives us something called syntax coloration, and I'm going to just right click on it and say run parts. You can see it right there. Now let's wait for a couple of seconds. So let's see. So we don't really get anything. So if you look at it, okay, so let's see. Okay, so yeah, so we have this output printed out as figure 1, printed on the outside in a different window altogether. I've actually not tried saving it. Okay, you can actually save it here. So the difference between Jupyter Notebook and PyCharm is that in case of Jupyter Notebook, both your code, the figures, the output of the codes, everything is in one page. But in PyCharm, the figures or the diagrams you create is in a different window altogether. So that creates a problem. You cannot actually package everything together in one file. But in case of Jupyter Notebook right here, everything can be packaged in one file. In fact, you can simply right click, click on file, and go to download as, and download complete notebook for the figures, the codes, the diagrams, the outputs. Everything is provided in just one single file. That is fine. So let's get started now. So what I want you to do at this point, I'm going to just close this. I'm probably going to also delete this, because we are just starting from the scratch. Okay, so we are starting from the scratch. I'm going to close Jupyter Notebook except that you want to try what I did just now, what you can do is look at the description box. You find a link to this place, or you can actually type it out yourself if you want. If not, we are going to look at this in tutorial in day 3. Copy it and paste it in Jupyter Notebook. Now, Jupyter Notebook, you already know how to start it up and create a new notebook. Alright, so I'm going to close this as well. So one thing I'm going to tell you, the pattern, the approach we are going to be using in day 2, we are going to be learning smart. Many people don't learn smart, they learn hard. That means they try to learn everything from beginning gradually all the way to the end. Now, Python may have up to 25 to 30 different subtopics. If you are going through this one by one until the 30th one, that will not be a smart way of learning. You know, I'm kind of the genius, so I'm going to tell you that you need to learn smart. You learn smart and you spend a little time and learn the same thing that somebody that spends very much time have learned as well. So what I'm going to do, let me open the list of topics I've created in my website. So if I go to Google, so let me open my website. So let me show you the outline we are going to use. Actually, you need to also be reading a little from time to time, because as a programmer, you'd also need to learn some theories about it. But this class is going to be heavily practical. So I'm going to go to pythonthegenius.com, python.com, and go to /Python. So if you go to /Python, you are going to see all the topics we need. Now at this point, I'm going to kind of restore this window like this. So these are the topics. Let me just shift it, make it just one. So these are the topics right from the introduction downward, all the way. So it's something to play around with. Okay. All right. So today we are going to be talking about basic syntax. All right, basic syntax. So I'm going to shift this downward. So the first thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to open a new file in PyCharm. So I'm going to just go to File. So, I'm going to go to day 2, the project, and create a new file, Python file, not just file. We click on Python file. Okay. Now give it a name. I'm going to call it first class. So this is the first class for day 2. All right. Of course, it has to be just one class maybe. So now this is the first class. Let me just show you how. Let's just change up things a bit. Permit me to just minimize this. Let me change the appearance. I normally like the appearance to be a bit of dark. All right. So I'm going to right click on. I'm going to go to File and go to Settings, and I'm going to increase the font size. So go to Appearance, go to Editor, and go to Color Scheme, and Color Scheme. Give a few seconds and choose dark color. Dark color is okay because it gives a dark background. And I'm going to apply it as well. Yes. So you see how it appears at this point. It's okay. Let's go to fonts. It's console font to fonts here. I'm going to choose Korean New. I can't remember what font I normally use. Okay, let's use Consolas. Okay, and let's change the size to 16. 16 is okay, so I'm going to say okay. So let me type something. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so it seems to be okay, but I would like to change it a bit. I want something that looks a bit better. So let me go back to settings again. To settings, and let me so it's gonna be color scheme, the color, that is fine. Font, okay, so Okay. Okay, so I guess we can work with this if that is okay by you. If not, leave me a comment below. Maybe I can stop using this fonts, or maybe I can just go back to color scheme and change it back to default. This appeared to be too dark, so let me say yes. So let's use what we already have. Okay. So when I say my name is Kindson, now put your own name there. There is nothing wrong with that. And I start with a hash key. Of course, you know is a comment. Another thing you need to do when you are writing a program, you can say written on, you specify the date. Today's date is this is 18th. October 2019. So always do this when you are writing a program. Always specify your name, because somebody might reuse the program. Also specify the date the program was written. Let's go down. So the first thing you need to learn in programming is something called, of course, the description of the program. I'm going to just say first in day 2. Okay. Always do this. Is a very good thing to do it. That is what professional programmers do. Yeah. So now this is what is called comments in Python, or remarks. So you start with a hash key. Okay. The next thing you want to do is to specify, let's say, assign something called a variable. Of course, you know what a variable is. A variable is simply a space in the memory where you can put things. So if I say something like print name is equal to Kindson the genius, okay, so I can now print name. So what is going to happen is that it's going to be taking the name. The name here, this name here is a variable, contains this item here. So when I say print name, it's going to print out whatever is contained in that variable called name. So I'm going to just right click and just click run first class. You'll see that in the output is going to give me Kindson the genius right here. Alright? Okay, fine. So if you want to print out some things added to the name, for instance, my name is, and then you put in the name, you can just say my name is, and then specify in quotes and say plus name. So in this case, it's going to take what you have in my name is and close in brackets, add it to whatever you have in that variable name, and then print it out. So if you put another print statement, now you can follow along, so make no mistake about it. So I'm going to say thank you. Okay, so I'm going to right click and then run it. So it's going to print out two things. My name is Kindson the genius, and then it prints out thank you out there, as you can see here. Alright, so now all these identifiers you have here, so basically we are saying that we can use mname, can use mname, or can use mname here. So I can choose whatever I want to use there, right? So it's a variable name. But one thing is that there are some names, some kind of names you can use. You can't start a variable name with a number. You cannot do it. So there are rules to obey. And you cannot also use reserved words. Okay, reserved words are specified here. Don't worry about it. Just take some time to read it and understand what is happening there. Alright, so there's something called line spacing and indentation. So if I copy this code and paste here, now you need to do the same thing. So this code is correct, meaning that there's something called indentation. Indentation is a way Python makes the code simple. Instead of using curly brackets, it uses indentation, meaning that whatever comes indented, for instance, after saying if A is equal to B, we indent this line. So in this way, Python understands that whatever comes after if A is equal to B with a colon have to be under that statement. So whatever is indented works. So if you don't indent it and you say something like this, there will be error, because it's expecting that once you have this colon, it expects that whatever comes to be indented to specify that that code comes under the previous one. So try the second one and see that it generates an error. Alright. Now this is about multi-line statements. So it's a way to write a statement in several lines. So for instance, we have title is equal to Mr. First name Kindson, last name Munanye, other name Kani, full name da 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 da. So this is the same as this. So in this case, this line is too long, so you can actually write it by breaking it down. And to break it down, simply use a backslash. Alright. Now let's do something a bit interesting. Now getting user input. So let me come here and take out. So instead of deleting things from the screen, just actually comment them out by putting a comment here. Comment them out. So if you comment them out, it means you can use them at a later time. So you want to ask the user what is your name, and you want to get the input from the user. So what you can say is name is equal to input. Please, or let me just say, okay, please enter your name. So in this case, we are asking a question, meaning that at this point, the system is going to wait and expect the user to type something on the keyboard and press the enter key. Take it that when the program encounters input, it displays what is there and then it's going to pause. It's only continue to run when a user enters something on the keyboard and press the enter key. Let's try it out. So if I come down here and say print, thank you entered your name. So if this code runs, right, I'm going to actually also take this one out. If this code executes, we are going to have an output that says enter your name, and it's going to stop there waiting for user to enter something in the input, because the input statement waits for the user to enter a response. So I'm going to run it at this point. So I'm going to say run. So now it says please enter your name. You can see that it doesn't execute the first one because it's waiting for the user to enter an input. So if I enter something, Python, okay, and now you can see that it executes the second line. So input statement waits for the user to enter something on the keyboard and press the enter key. If you enter something but you don't press the enter key, it doesn't work. Now if you enter your name and it assigns it to a variable name, we can actually use that variable. So whatever enters on the keyboard, whatever he enters on the keyboard is stored in this variable called name. Alright, so let me just go to say your name is, and I'm going to say plus and then name. So we are saying your name is plus whatever the user enters, we don't know, but whatever he enters is stored in this variable called name. So I'm going to run it at this time by right clicking and clicking on run. So now it's going to start afresh and it's going to run. I'm going to say Kindson the genius. So you can see your name is Kindson the genius is printed, so it's run the second line. Alright, let's move to the next part. Remember I told you we are going to be learning SMART. The next part is data types. So in every programming language there is something called data types. What it means is you cannot mix up a number. A number is different than a string. A character is different than a number. say, I don't know, it is playing some adverts on the screen, so I don't know. Alright, so now when you have a variable, for instance, this name we've been using in this program is a variable and is a string, meaning that it's a text variable, a text variable. You cannot use it for calculation. You cannot say name plus name. But if you say, let's say, enter your number. So let's say number is equal to impute. Please enter your number. So at this point, I'll be expecting the user to enter a number, okay? And this number now, I can also get a second number if I want. So I can say number 2 is equal to impute, enter a second number. Okay, so at the end of the day, I can say sum is equal to number 1 plus number 2. Now I'm going to print sum. The sum is, okay. Now I don't know if it's going to work, but let's see how it goes. So let me explain a little what is happening here. So let's say this is number 1. Let me comment this out because we are not using it. Just put a comment there so that the system is going to ignore it. So the first one, we are saying enter a number. In this case, number 1 is expected to be a number variable. That is why we have integer variables. But in Python, we don't have to declare to say this variable is an integer. It's simply implicitly the system is expecting that it's going to be a number. It's implicit. You don't say like in Java we say int x or int number 1, or in C++ or something like that. Here, the variable type or the data type for this variable, whether it's a number or a text, is implicit. All right. So I'm going to run this. It's going to take the first number, it's going to take the second number, and it's going to calculate the sum in this line and also display the sum. I'm going to right click and just say run. Okay. So at this point, if I enter something not a number, it's going to give an error. But now let's just enter a number. Let's say 50. Enter a second number 50. And now it says the sum is 50-50. Now, I want you to be doing this yourself as well. The problem at this point is the system expects a number and we provided a number. That is perfectly okay. But this function called impute, when you enter something on the keyboard, whatever you enter is considered to be a string or a text. So we need to find a way and convert it to a number. Okay. So to convert it to a number, you simply use int. So int number 1, int number 2. So in that way, you are converting it to integer values. So int number 1, int number 2, and now we can get the sum. So at this point, I'm going to kind of give some space here. So if you are following, that is great. I think it's simple so far. So the int is called a function or a method that converts whatever is given to it from string or from text or from whatever is there into an integer value. Okay. So if I now run this a second time, you can see that we are going to enter 2 numbers as before, but it's going to give us the real sum. I think we're expecting it to give us 100. 50. Okay, so it says can only concatenate string, not integer. Can only concatenate string, not integer. Okay, so let's just stop for now. Let's do this. Let's just say print sum. Okay, so let's run it again. So let's try to enter a number 50. So it says 100, that is fine. So you can now say enter your score. Now score is expected, we expect it to be a float, a decimal number, right? It's called a float. Enter second score. So we expect it to be not an integer this time, but a float. I think to convert to a float, you can use float. I'm not sure. Yeah, float. Right? Float converts from text to floating point. That is to decimal number. Float number 2. I'm going to run it as well. So let me enter my number 99.9. Enter a second score 78.6. So it also calculates the sum and gives us the sum. This time you've learned about string. The data types I'm telling you now: string, integer, and float. Right? String, integer, and float. These are called data types. There are other ones. Now I'd like you to read it up by yourself. Let's talk about a few other things you might need to know. Okay. So a few other things you might need to know. Now I'm going to delete, but for you, try to maybe comment them out instead of deleting it so that you can use it. So if you have, let's say, x is equal to, let's see, okay, let's forget, let's just say x is equal to y equal to 200, right? So this is the same as x. So same as x is equal to 200, y is equal to 200 as well. So this is called multiple assignment. Yes, I think that is fine. Again, you have something called consecutive assignment. So in this case, we have name, score, and age is equal to, then you assign them consecutively. So in this case, Kyneton, score is 99.9 and age is 37. So we are making 3 assignments at the same time. This is exactly the same as name is equal to Kyneton, score is equal to 99.99 and age is equal to 37. So this is the same as this. Now play around with every other thing in this place and see how it works. Okay, so but for now, these are the key things you need to know. Now there's something called Python strings. I think we are going to be talking about strings a little later. So I'm going to copy this and paste because we need to actually move on. So I'm going to copy it and paste, and then I'm going to explain it. So when you say word is equal to Python programming, you print words, it prints everything. Word 0, it means the first one. This one, word 1, this is it. Word 3 to 6 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, right? So 3 to 6 means what? 3, 4, 5, right? Okay. So word 3, print from word 3 all the way to the end. It's explained here very clearly. I'll try to play around with it. So what we are saying is that a string is a sequence of characters made up of characters having an index starting from 0, 1, 2. So the first item is indexed as 0, 1. So let's just run this and let's see what we have. I'm going to run it at this point. So the output is going to be invalid syntax. Where? So invalid syntax of print words. Okay, so I need to actually enclose this. Don't know why I made these mistakes here. So yeah, so I'm going to just run this one. Alright, so this is what we have. So The first one prints Python programming. The second one, word 0 is P, right? What of words 3 to 6? Word 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. H is word 3, word 4, word 5. When you have a range, when you have 3 colon 6, it's called a range of numbers between one point and the other one. The last one is not included, so word 6 is not included. So we are talking about word 3, 4, 5. So try to play around. When you have word times 3, word times 3, it prints it out 3 times. That is what is happening here. So let's just talk a little about Python list. So I'm going to copy and paste as well. So do the same thing. For me, I recommend you type it out by yourself. So let me delete this. Let's talk about Python list. So a list is a sequence of items enclosed in square brackets. So that the keyword is enclosed in square brackets. So it's also made up of a sequence of items which may be any data type at all. So in this case we have a text, a float that is a decimal number, an integer, a text again, and a float. So list 2 is equal to this and this. So you can actually combine list 1 and list 2. So the explanation is given here. Try to run it and try to understand it. So we have tuples, we have dictionaries. We are going to talk about this in a different class, Python tuples and dictionaries. So at this point, we are going to just move on to the last part of day 1. Now, all this code I'm showing you, the last part of day 1, I think it should be operators, if I'm not mistaken. So let me just check because I have it specified somewhere. So actually, day 1 ended at this point. So in my website, we have day 1 covers basic syntax and data types. Your fetch program, basic syntax and data types. So please try to follow the instructions in the website. Try to read up the theories about it as much as you can. You don't need to cover everything because we are going to be touching on all these things as we move along. So I'm going to thank you for viewing and also for being there. And also try to reach me if you have any challenges whatsoever following any of these lessons. Try to get your hands dirty by typing out these programs yourself. Don't copy and paste like I'm doing. Type it out and try to read up the comments. So this comment, I told you, starts with a hash key, explains the program code, right? So I'm going to stop here and let's move on to day 2, and I will see you in day 2.